Hello and welcome to The Nation. I'm ELANE Noor Abdullah. And today we're talking about living with a rare condition. Often comes with uncertainty, limited awareness, and unique daily challenges. Yet, many people, many women facing these realities continue to show remarkable resilience, not only in managing their health, but in pursuing their passion and purpose. Now today we explore strength, advocacy and lived experience. Joining me are MIZA MARSYA ROSLAN, board member of the Malaysian Rare Disorders Society, and SITI TAJUDDIN, freelance screenwriter. As you can see here on the screen, welcome to the studio. We're very glad to have you with us. MIZA lives with spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA, a genetic condition that causes progressive muscle weakness, while TAQIAH lives with Charcot-Marie-Tooth, or CMT, a rare disorder that affects the peripheral nerves, impacting mobility and motor skills. And today we're celebrating Happy World Rare Disease Day and International Women's Day. And happy International Women's Day and Rare Disease Days to both of you as well. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio. I will start with MIZA, if you don't mind. We have this first question to you. You have transitioned from being a patient to a global advocate, even delivering remarks at a youth side event by Rare Disease International during the World Health Assembly Week. How has your journey as a woman with SMA shaped your leadership style?
Thank you for the question. It's really funny because I never really thought I would take up any sort of leadership role. But if it wasn't because of being born with SMA, really. And I'll go as far as to say that I've been given so much more opportunity that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And for me, and to answer your question about my leadership style, I think I've always just really been myself. I know and I understand my capabilities and my limitations, and I'm open about it with the people that I surround myself with. And my experience is my own, and it does not necessarily represent the entire rare disease community, but I think it's the way I navigate it is just really being myself.
And that's the beauty of life. Every individual is special. Every individual brings something to the table, and having your personal experiences shape the way that you communicate, shape the way that you interact, shape the way that you lead, you share, you influence, inspire, and that's that influence that you're able to share with the people that's within your circle. Now, TAQIAH, CMT is often called an invisible condition, right? In its early stages, you don't see it. And you told me your journey earlier that in your earlier years, you didn't know that this was something that you would have actually been experiencing. What is one thing you wish people understood about the daily strength it takes to navigate the world, not just as a woman, but as a person with CMT? And why is it so crucial for women with rare conditions to tell their own stories rather than letting others define it for them?
For me, if people say that CMT is invisible disease, for me it's no to you, because this is my body, I experience it, and the pain is real. And every day we have to fight the nerve pain and the struggles, how to walk and everything. In the early stages, it happens to me. And at first, I thought it just, this is going to fade away, but it's not. And that's the thing. In the darkness of my days, I find the strength in it, Suddenly, I feel like it doesn't come to me like a gift. I have to observe myself, and I have to count the step that I take, sometimes in my dark days. And it reminds me like you cannot do certain things alone. And being a woman, especially with CMT, that's the daily strength that I have to deal with. And I think it's crucial for a woman like us that having a rare disease tell their stories, because the able-bodied person will assume that certain things that we face is like this, like that, and we don't want that. We want to treat as human beings too, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and the understanding is what we're trying to breed here as well with everyone, and to be able to share the stories, especially as you mentioned, TAQIAH, the rare disease, and MIZA, we spoke about this earlier. The access to this information was so limited in the beginning when the both of you were going through your journey, and that frustration that you felt are things that hopefully those who are watching or those who may have people that they know are going through similar sort of like journeys, then will be thinking like, maybe this is it. They could have been sort of like, you know, at a stumbling block, at like, don't know where else to go. Why is it that it is still here? Like you said, you know, it's still pain. There's just no answer. You look on the internet and the doctor doesn't even know. We would love to have the doctor that, you know, I talked about to you earlier in the movies. You see like, oh, in sitcoms, Dr. House can diagnose everything, right? Even that takes time.
Yeah.
But this is something that hopefully with sharing, people will have access to more options to explore for the unknowns that they are going through, yeah, not to be as fearful and having more avenues. Now, to both of you, both SMA and CMT are progressive conditions, and I spoke to you guys about, you know, what that sort of life expectancy and what your sort of like quality of life is going to look like that impacts both mobility as well as breathing. How do you maintain the mental strength to continue to, you know, go through your daily routines, lead and create when your physical body is constantly facing these kind of hurdles and trying to defeat you? Maybe we'll start with you, MIZA.
Yeah, I think for me, it's allowing yourself to grieve and mourn the losses. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, it's like fine. I was like, okay,
yeah, it's no walk in the
like
park,
it's
for
really
sure.
not.
Yeah.
It's really not, and it's just not realistic to be so optimistic and strong all the time. Like that's not how I am at all. If anything, the opposite.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like I make sure that whatever it is I may feel, whether it's anger or frustration, or if I feel defeated by, you know, the things that has been going on as my condition progresses, that I feel it and I allow myself to feel it so that I can let it go.
And that is a really, really valid and solid advice. It's, you know, we've heard this song "Let It Go," but it really makes yeah, I know, Frozen. I'm not trying to make a joke, but it is a message about needing to be able to, because you found your acceptance, and that acceptance allowed you to let it go. If you're fighting it, you can't let it go. You're holding on to it. And your experience of this?
I agree with MIZA. It takes years for me to accept what I am. At some point, I just started to be tired of a question, why me? You know, like constantly ask why me, and I get tired of it, and I changed to, okay, what now? And after that, I just like, oh, simply I have to maybe do this, you know, I have to maybe take a little bit time for myself, and it's okay for me, and I try to learn again like a kid, maybe use my left hand. Before this, I'm right-handed, and I have to learn again use this hand, and it's bring like a more perspective for me, so I can accept what I am now.
Oh, I love that whole sort of analogy of, I can imagine that whole grief process of, you know, the why me. I would ask that same question. I think every human being would ask that same question. And then that shift that that happens when you start asking a different question. What now? Because it then changes the next action plan, as opposed to, you know, being stuck in this sort of like wallowing space of like non-action. What now creates action for something to be created, to happen. So Beautiful sharing there. Now, to TAQIAH, let's start, but resilience is often born from necessity, you know? Like I said, nobody's born to be able to handle this much of like challenges. I said the word challenges feels a little bit like an understatement in this instance. But can you share a moment where you had to reimagine a goal or a dream because of your condition? And how did that process empower you rather than defeat you? All of us, when we were kids, imagine of something in the future.
For me, resistance doesn't come to me like personality trait. It comes to me like a deadline, because I'm already 29 years old, you know, and I'm already reached like years from the doctor said.
Yeah.
You know how like
what your terminal deadline that was given by doctors, that you shouldn't have been here. That's why it's amazing to have both of you here in our studios.
And for that, I try to reimagine my dream again. Before, I was like, I want to be a screenwriter really bad, but it's hard to be like this and be a screenwriter as well. So I reimagine myself and I redesign my dream. And from that, I only have that choice, you know. Either you cry all day long or just redesign it. So I choose to redesign it. So that's how I came from here to there.
I love the word redesign as well, and that's a beautiful sharing. But before we go to the next question to you, MIZA, we have a video that we'd like to share. Over the weekend, our production team caught up with Lingeswari, fondly known as Linda Rao. She's a model, digital creator, entrepreneur, and a rare disease advocate, and living with Namelin rod myopathy, progressive alveolar hypoventilation, and scoliosis, complex conditions that affect her muscles, breathing, and spine. She uses a wheelchair and BPAP breathing support, but continues to pursue her career in modeling, content creation, and talent acquisition. So we asked her this question: how has this journey shaped her understanding of inner strength, and how does she hope her visibility inspires other women, especially those who feel unseen or defined by their limitations, to embrace their own power and beauty? Let's hear what she has to say.
My visibility, not about proving anything, it's about permission. Permission for others to be seen fully without adding their wheelchair, their medical devices, or their struggles. I hope people see me and realize that limitations do not cancel beauty, ambition, or strength. We deserve to take up the space ethically we are. Living with a rare disease taught me that strength is not always visible. It's a quiet reason and daily courage, the constant advocacy, and grace to keep going. And women in rare disease community carries an inner power. We don't just survive, we define what the strength looks like.
Nice words from Lingus sharing with us. And I think it echoes a lot of the sentiment that both of you has shared with us today. Now, MIZA, you champion social participation for youth. How can we ensure that young girls with rare diseases are not just included in a room, but are actually given the power to lead at the decision-making table, having that voice?
Yeah. For me, in my experience, that when you provide proper accommodation that is specific to the individual's needs, you ensure that they have the space and comfort to participate actively. And you know, I think I've said this multiple times, but like, just never assume what it is we want. You know, always ask. And always allow the person that you are advocating for to have a voice at the table when you are making that decision.
I think that's
yeah.
a really strong sort of point to bring forward. You know, having the other party also have that voice to participate,
Yeah.
because a lot of times in your conditions you're assumed as weak. You're assumed as not having a say. Assumed that you don't have something to offer.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, asking, the simple sort of like gesture of asking is such a powerful,
like a no-brainer,
right? Yeah, I mean, continue. I just wanted to highlight that.
No, but I think for me it's like you don't want to make a decision that it doesn't represent what the wants and the needs of the community is. And you see that oftentimes, you know, in the advocacy space when decisions are being made, but it doesn't reflect how we truly feel like on the ground.
And what you guys need as well is maybe not heard as well if the questions are not asked.
Yes.
And a lot of things are always assumed because like a lot of things in this world are made by the able-bodied for the disabled-bodied, but you know that conversation needs to happen in order for it to function. Until you use and utilize those tools that are being given, you won't understand what a challenge you are posing. Are you actually hindering more, or are you actually supporting? The intention might be good, you know. People have a lot of good intentions, like I mentioned before the break, when we were on a break earlier as well, that sometimes people don't know what to say. They want to help. They are genuinely wanting to help, but they are at a loss of how to help. And sometimes the person that needs to be helped doesn't know what they need either. It's in that discovery stage. But sometimes you've come to a point that you've lived this journey long enough that you know what are things that will help you and what won't. And the asking the question
Exactly.
is the one that, it's a simple question. Let's ask the question, right? So, TAQIAH, the theme for International Women's Day often touches on embracing equity. You know, we want fairness, we want equality, right? But no two human beings are created equal, and that's how it doesn't matter whether you're able-bodied, you are a certain way. There's always some kind of equity, but we can find that balance somewhere, right? In your opinion, what does true equity look like for women living with rare diseases in Malaysia today, or what do you envision that to look like?
I think firstly, when we talk about this, I think the first thing is healthcare. We need to see in healthcare point of view, because I think these days it's hard to find. Not usually if you live in Kuala Lumpur, it's easy to find. But if you live outside there, like Terengganu and Kuantan or anything.
Or anything outside the capital cities, right?
Yes.
Whether or not, sometimes maybe in the central areas it's easier, whether it's KL, Johor or Penang, because those are the bigger cities. But once you go out of that, and especially if you don't have access, how do you then reach those access to health? This is what you're trying to,
Yes, I try to say that because I'm from Kuantan, and when we go there, there's no specialties there, and it's heartbreaking to see that, because I just want a simple test. You know, it's just like you give a saliva test and then that's all. They have to see that, but you don't have that, and that's not equity for me. You have to see that, and by living with this rare disease, I think all people with the rare disease itself know how that feels like, you know. The doctor said you have to go to certain capital city, and it's really far away, you know, from here to there, and it takes a lot of cost and everything. And for me, if you cannot provide that, that's simply not equity for me.
Yeah, I think that's what. Any thoughts on that on your end, MIZA?
No, you know, this is a problem that the rare disease face quite often, you know, with the SMA group. We are scattered all around Malaysia, you know, even Sabah, Sarawak. However, access to the proper treatment and care is not available in every state. And so a lot of them who are not, you know, in the major cities, they are...
It's just beyond reach. It's just a little bit beyond reach.
Yeah.
Now, MIZA, with your experience with the RDI, or Rare Diseases International, what is the one policy change you feel Malaysia needs right now to ensure women with rare diseases have a sustainable future as they age? Because that's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that Malaysia has taken the steps, that are so commendable lately. We've launched the National Policy on Rare Diseases. We're finally acknowledged and recognized in Malaysia. We also have, the National Women's Policy. We have the PWD Act 2008. But they all kind of exist in silos, But I'm a woman who is living with a rare disease, who is also physically disabled. And I'm all of these things at all times. So how is it that our policies are not speaking to each other? Nothing is going to change in that sense. And so for me, it's more on like a mandated intersectional implementation, where it has to be a whole of government approach to see us as a whole person. And it's so, like, can you imagine if once someone gets a diagnosis, they are immediately being notified by social welfare, and social welfare officers are working with the Ministry of Health, working with Ministry of Women, Family and Community on their roadmap, and to see what would her employment be like before her condition gets worse. What is the transition of care like, and how can we use say the women's economic funds to and get access to that as a person living with a rare disease.
And with such an interconnected world, you'd expect that this is something that's very achievable.
Yeah.
It just takes the will.
The system is there.
Yeah, it just takes the will to be able to make that call to say that let's connect this. We have really moving fast in terms of the digital network, and we have this blueprints for making ourselves, jalinan digital negara, right? Making sure that we're connected even all the way to the rural areas to try to make sure that people have access to have internet be like the third utility beyond just water and power. And with that, it allows everyone to have access to those rare information and also to be able to escalate that, How do we then make sure that if we find out that this person has this, how do we notify the necessary parties? And let's keep that sort of like channel flowing and complete that loop so that it eases, that you said, the transition. As it is, it's already an uphill battle. And once you hit sort of like that registry, let's make that a smoother transition. Even though it's still a lot of effort, at least we have that path set out for us. Now, to celebrate International Women's Day, what is your rare and radiant message to every woman out there who feels limited by her circumstances? Let's start with you, TAQIAH.
For me, I would like to say, for women out there, whatever happens, if it's a disease, an illness, or heartbreak, or something like poverty, this is not your final form. Your limitation is not your final form. And I would like you be, being rare is not broken. Being rare doesn't mean being different. It's, you are outdated. You are something not usable. You are not like that. So for women out there, I wish like you can keep going. Just keep going.
Keep going strong.
Yeah, keep going. Just don't stop until your final breath.
Don't give up. Your final words.
I think we're very adaptable, innovative, and creative individuals. And as simple as I can say it, we'll figure it out, because what's disabling is not us, it's our environment.
Thank you so much both for sharing your stories, sharing your message, being inspirations today, and I wish you health, wealth, and joy, and that peace. For you, TAQIAH and MIZA, I hope that you find that peace and share the joy with the people that are watching. And for those who are watching, please continue to support the community. Resilience is often built quietly, as is shown through everyday determination, courage, and the decision to keep going forward despite the uncertainty. Stories like this reminds us of the importance of awareness, support, and understanding. Let's lend a hand, let's lend an ear, let's lend our voice. I'm ELANE NOOR. Thank you for watching The Nation and for joining us for conversations that matter. Bye for now. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. It's been a pleasure.